Los Angeles sparkled that night, filled with the lights and hustle and bustle that typically set the stage for any successful global star's journey. But amidst the twinkling lights and bustle of a city that never sleeps, Jungkook, BTS's youngest vocalist, sat alone in his studio, staring at a guitar sitting idle in the corner. In that moment, he confessed he had found something he had been searching for: simple honesty. "Maybe I don't belong here anymore," he said quietly in a recording that fans are now talking about. Not out of sadness, but out of clarity. Jungkook's statement about his decision to move his family from America surprised many, not because of its emotional tone, but because of its honesty, which exposed the most human side of a global superstar. In a nearly 20-minute monologue, he spoke of exhaustion, the search for meaning, and the desire to live a slower, more authentic life. "Major decisions never come easy," Jungkook began, "especially the ones that change everything. Your home, your work, your comfort zone. I've been thinking about this for a long, long time." That sentence immediately set the tone for the entire conversation, reflective, honest, and undramatic. He explained that the decision to leave America wasn't an escape, but rather a journey toward deeper serenity. When BTS first set foot in America, everything felt like a dream. The world welcomed them with a roar no Asian artist had ever experienced on a similar scale. Jungkook looks back on those times with gratitude: the massive stages, the cheering crowds, the cross-cultural collaborations, and the artistic freedom that shaped his identity as a global musician. "It felt like a dream," he recalled. "Everything was big, loud, and exciting. I learned so much, met incredible people, and grew in ways I never imagined." But as time passed, Jungkook began to realize that the world that gave him freedom also demanded it at a suffocating pace. "You blink and the world has already changed again," he said. "Sometimes that speed pushes you forward. Sometimes it pulls you away from who you are." The sentence sounds simple, but it carries a weight of exhaustion that only someone who has run for too long on a never-ending path can understand. For Jungkook, this move wasn't just a geographic relocation, but a shift in values. He wanted to rediscover space to breathe, to create without pressure, to live without having to be a perfect version of himself in the public eye. "I want to find a place where my family can breathe again," he said softly. "Where music feels like art, not a product." During this spiritual journey, the BTS members were the closest witnesses to his decision. He admitted to having discussed it at length with Namjoon, who he felt best understood his need for space and silence. Namjoon gets it the most. He's always been about finding space to think, to write, to feel the world without noise. Yoongi also offered a phrase that became the foundation of his decision: "Sometimes, to keep growing, you have to change your soil." Those words continued to echo in his mind. He realized that BTS, born from a simple dream in a small practice room in Korea, had now conquered the world. Yet within that greatness, there was a longing for the little things. Somewhere along the way, I think we started missing simple things, just being normal guys again. When he finally conveyed the plan to the members, there was a moment of silence. "Jimin just looked at me and smiled," he said. "That kind of soft, understanding smile that doesn't need words." Taeyong chimed in with a gentle joke: "You'll finally wake up to birds instead of alarms." And Hobie, with his characteristic energy, said, "As long as there's sunlight and music, you'll be fine." That moment made Jungkook realize that the bond they built would never be defined by distance. "We grew up together," he said. "We cried, fought, laughed, built dreams together. That doesn't go away just because I moved to a different country." For Jungkook, America was an incredible place to learn. He called it a space that shaped his ambition and courage to dream big. But along with all the glamour, he also discovered a dark side, a loss of balance. "You start running so fast toward success that you forget why you started in the first place," he said honestly. "I don't want that anymore." He spoke at length about the pressure of expectations, something invisible yet ever-present. People expect you to always have an answer, a direction, a purpose. But what if you just want silence for a while? He emphasized that his decision to leave wasn't driven by politics or disappointment, but rather by shifting values. He longed for honesty in his work, when music wasn't measured by numbers, algorithms, or trending charts, but by the vibrations of his heart. "I miss the time when it was just me and a small studio in Busan," he said. No filters, no pressure, just music. He longed to return to a time when art was born from feelings, not plans. In the same recording, Jungkook recounts discussing this with his mother. She, with simple wisdom, simply said, "If your heart feels heavy, it's time to go where it feels light." That sentence was key to his eventual decision. This departure, according to Jungkook, wasn't a form of loss, but a reshaping. He describes those moments in almost poetic language, the sleepless night before the flight, the city lights flashing like memories, and the sound of the airplane's wheels marking a new chapter in his life. "Leaving isn't the point," he said. "The point is to keep becoming softer, freer, more real." Upon arriving at his new place, which he described as a small house near the sea, he didn't immediately unpack his suitcase. He spent his first night on the veranda, armed only with an old guitar whose strings were slightly out of tune. "I didn't fix them. I played anyway," he said. The notes came out rough, uneven, but real. He felt like a teenager again, singing just to feel alive. His days now pass slowly. He wakes up early, makes coffee, watches the sky change colors, writes when he feels like writing, and is quiet when he feels like being quiet. "There's a kind of healing that only quiet can give you," he said. "It doesn't ask questions. It just lets you breathe until your thoughts start to untangle themselves." He wrote new songs there, more honest, softer, less pretentious. He began to notice small things he hadn't noticed before. The rhythm of rain on the roof, the afternoon light on the walls, the aroma of simple cooking. Back in the city, everything was always fast, urgent, noisy. Here, even time feels slower, like it's been waiting for me to catch up. Sometimes, he still misses the stage and the laughter behind the scenes. But when he goes outside and breathes in the sea air, all those feelings transform into serenity. "Peace has its own kind of music," he says quietly, "if you listen long enough." Now, Jungkook has a new life away from the glare of the spotlight. He befriends a small cafe owner who always asks about his writing, and an old fisherman who tells stories like he's singing a song. They don't know who he was in the past, and for Jungkook, that's precisely the beauty he seeks. "They don't know me as the person I used to be," he says. "They just see me as another soul finding his way." To many, Jungkook's decision may seem surprising. But for him, this is simply a continuation of a journey he always begins with one thing: honesty. "I'm not running away," he asserts. "I'm running towards something: peace, authenticity, balance." At the end of the recording, Jungkook speaks no longer as an idol, but as a human being. "You can love a place deeply and still need to leave it," he says. "You can be grateful and still crave change." And for fans who may be grappling with big life decisions, he adds, "If you've ever thought about making a big change but didn't know how to start, maybe this is your sign." Now, amidst the ocean sky and gentle breeze, Jungkook is rediscovering a version of himself he once lost in the spotlight. Not Jungkook the superstar, not Jungkook the icon, but Jungkook the human who simply wants to hear his own heartbeat again.